Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today I'm going to give you a complete training session where I'll help you create your workflow from A to Z. So I'll start from a blank page and show you how I can create all these nodes to build a complete workflow. And the idea of the workflow is that it will take just an image as input, and as output it will give me a high quality video, a video that I can promote, that I can use to sell e-commerce products or other things. So the technique I'm going to use in this workflow is very well known. It's called contact sheet prompting. It takes a photo, creates scenarios, and then generates high-resolution videos. I'm mainly going to work with what's called the K-Link API. So this is also a very well-known API nowadays. It's capable of taking an image and then imagining scenarios to create a video for us. Very, very high quality. I'll show you how to set it up, how to call all the APIs. We'll be working with AtlasCloud. I'm going to call NanoBanana Pro, but be careful, we'll be working with the Ultra version. And we'll be working with K-Link. I'll show you all the configurations we'll be doing on this system. A test photo like this one will later be replaced or generated with a true 4K or even 8K image. And then we'll get a result like this. I'm quickly showing you the result that we'll create together with this workflow. Now it's capable of creating hundreds of workflows every day. And so we'll use the title so it can actually publish this video. Now on social media, let's take YouTube as an example. It's able to retrieve the video. And then it distributes it across all our social networks, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. So it's a system today that can automate everything. In the course, I'll also give you access to my documentation. Here you'll find all the codes, links, parameters, and APIs I've used from A to Z all thoroughly explained. All of this is free with the workflow. Stay until the end. I'll explain everything in detail so that by the end you should be able to create your own autonomous workflow. So to start, I wanted to give you actually the watery close. So the watery close, when you download it, you'll find the documentation here. When you click directly on this link, you'll get the documentation. So the documentation, it's inside my workflow. How do you get the workflow? It's simple. I'm just going to do it right here in the hood. So I'll get it on my computer and then upload it to my server for free. You can download it in just 2 clicks. To download it, you simply go to this address. I'll put it for you in the description. So n8n 2.2 dr-ferras.vip. You'll go to that address, enter your email, and you'll receive the workflow by email. It's called NanoBanana Ultra. You'll simply download it from your email inbox to your computer, and then you'll import it to your server. n8n, whether you have a server or not. If you have a server, great, you'll import it. If you don't have a server, it's very easy nowadays to get an n8n server. There are 2 solutions. Either you go directly to the official n8n website. So when you click on pricing, you'll find the packages offered by n8n. $20, $50, or $800. But be careful. The limitation here is that you're restricted in the number of workflow executions. That means you can only do 2,500 executions per month, which is very little. And also you can only have 5 active workflows running simultaneously. So that's a bit of a limitation, especially if you're a freelancer wanting to test workflows, or if you're a beginner learning how workflows work. You'll end up running a lot of executions and trying to activate several at once. And even more so, if you're a business, you'll need to activate multiple workflows to automate various tasks. So here, you could simply upgrade to a bigger plan, which costs $800 per month. But there's another solution that's much more appealing, and of course it's the one I recommend. Hostinger. Here on Hostinger, I'll also put the link in the description for you. You need to be on the specific page for n8n. It's not a standard web hosting server. It's a different type of server called the n8n VPS. So once you click on the link, you'll simply come here and you'll find 2 types of servers. There are the KVM2 and the KVM4. In fact, these are the 2 that we use most often. If you are a freelancer, take this one. It gives you 2 processor cores with 8 gigabytes. If you are an entrepreneur running a business and need a powerful server, you get 4 processors with 16 gigabytes of RAM. This is the one I recommend, so that's the advantage. So what is this? It's that the number of workflows you can run simultaneously is unlimited. You don't have a limited number of workflows. So with them, it's self-hosted. That means the server, since n8n is an open source resting. They will host it on their own server and we will just run it from Hostinger. So as a result, it's simpler. I click here on select and I'll also show you a little trick to get 100 free workflows. You'll see that this option, when you select it, is 100% free. It will give you its workflow pre-installed on your server. So you just need to click confirm. You do not have to add anything. And for your first server, if it's the first server you're going to buy on Hostinger, I'm talking about servers in retail, you can use this coupon here called Go n8n. This one gives you an additional 10% discount. It's mentioned in the documentation. So they offer this coupon simply to get a 10% discount. So at €6 per month, it's really much more interesting than being at $800 or even $50, which is way too expensive. So here it's only €6.29. There you go. And then I click on continue here to be able to install the n8n server and then import the workflow you received by email. Let's get started. So the first thing to do is create a trigger. So for the trigger, I'm going to type it here. Trigger means the initiator, and I'm going to choose the manual one. What is the manual trigger? It means that when I actually click on this node, it will trigger the entire workflow. It's simple, it's just a single click that triggers the workflow. So I place my trigger here, and now I need to get an image. It's this image that I'll be working with for the rest of the workflow. So what's the idea with the image? It's to input a simple image and as output, another image that will simply include inside it 6 positions of the person who is in that image, so that afterwards we can generate a video. So what's the idea? I've created a Google Sheets file here that you can copy. So to find it, it's simple. Here in the documentation, you'll find Google Sheets. You just need to click on this link and then click on Make a Copy. So in that file, what I actually need is to retrieve this row here. A row like this one, for example, which contains the status, like NanoBanana down. This one contains the image I'm interested in. It's this one actually, an image that's hosted on Google Drive. So I store the image on Google Drive, that's it. This is my image, and inside this image I have a person and I have a product. And I want the system to actually focus on that product. And it's going to help me actually to master, to work with it. Basically, the information from this photo will allow me to create 6 images. So now it's simple. What do I need to do? I just need to add a Google Sheets. So here I type Google Sheets. Here is my Google Sheets file. And now I'm going to look for get a row, get a row. Basically, it's going to retrieve the information. It's going to get 1 or more rows. But in my case, I always want to retrieve just 1 row. So it's very important that I click here. To make sure that the connection is properly established, meaning that here, the system, actually n8n, it has a connection. It actually has the right to use the information on my Google Sheets. So I grant it the permissions. So here, my file will show me that it's successful. It will tell me that the connection was completed successfully. So there you go. I have the correct connection. And now what I'm going to do is simply look here for the file called LaVideo3D. That's what I named the file, and of course I need to retrieve it. The name of the sheet is image. So when I click here, it will automatically detect it. So now the system, in fact, it now has access to my Google Sheets file. And now I'm going to tell it, listen, you're going to look for the column called status, and I want you to retrieve the column that contains status. NanoBanana is of course here. You're free to write whatever you want here, but for me, every time I have a file, an image ready to be processed, I try to capture it. That's why here I put NanoBanana down, and then I tell it, okay, retrieve all the rows that have NanoBanana down. And here I'm also going to tell it to return just the first row it finds available. Because sometimes there can be several images that are ready to be processed. So as a result, I'd like to retrieve the images one by one. So if I run it here, I'll see if it displays for me. Actually, the information, so the files, so here, it's connecting to my Google Sheets, searching and retrieving the image. And there you go, the execution has just been completed successfully. By the way, when I click on open, there you go, I actually find all the information, and that's actually the file I'm interested in. So now I need to do some work to retrieve this image, make it a public link so I can use it with my support and start working with this image. So let's continue. So I actually need to retrieve the image URL. So I need to download it so I can upload it to a public server so I can apply the modifications and extract a new image. So the steps are simple. First, I'm going to start by pinning these results. This will prevent having to rerun the executions. You never know, if I refresh the page or if there's an error, I can come back to this step and it will re-execute. And now it's simple. Look, I'm going to search for Google Drive. And I'm going to select the download file option. Of course, on Google Drive, you need to make sure to click here to connect Google Drive with n8n. And now what I'm going to do is a simple configuration where I'll tell it here, listen, I'm going to give you something, the image ID. So it's true that here we sent the full URL, but inside the URL there's the ID. Look, ID equals and all that. Actually, that's the ID. It stops right here. So how do you retrieve this ID? It's very simple. I've included it for you in the documentation here. It's what we call a regular expression, this expression. Here it's simply going to clean up the URL. So I copy that, I come here, and then I switch to expression mode. Look, I switch here to expression mode. There you go, and now I'm going to copy and paste my code. And there you go, now it's going to give me the ID. And now I'm going to tell it, listen, you're going to extract the information for me. You're going to call the document data. If I run the system here, it's going to retrieve this image. I can even get them, so the image and the data. It's properly installed. In fact, so now my system is running on my n8n. So here we're going to call it from another image job. And right here, what I actually need to do is to upload and transmit the image file so that it can simply be easily and conveniently accessible online for our needs. That is exactly why we are going to utilize our specialized internal tool. We are simply going to use the temp file system for this process. Here is the comprehensive HTTP request node configuration from the temp file service, which will handle the transfer. This one will allow me to upload the image for 1 hour to a temporary public server. To do this, I just need to try adding a name to the file here, so file name, which is very important, a name with an extension. So what should we call it? Image. For a PNG, this is very, very important, so make sure to include this detail so it can be sent. So I ran one of the children, created my file, and here it is, the image is ready. So I made sure to add the extension, so now I can set it to PNG, and it's very simple. First, we look at the HTTP request structure, and specifically here, it's a method. So we use post here, followed by the URL. So let's just go back to my documentation to verify the exact endpoint details we need. The URL is this one. We're going to copy it, put it on the server here, and send it. So below, we're going to tell it, listen, this is a forum of states. So actually, this is where we'll put the detail. So the name here, it's simply a file, and here the value is by the ocean of states. There you go, just as it's written here. And I also tell it to return as a file. JSON, there you go. All right, let's execute the process and see what happens. So it looks like we might have overlooked a specific detail here. Let's carefully verify that every single component is functioning correctly here. Actually, we need to specify that it's an n8n binary file. That's it, that's the data. And we run it, and there you go. So now, if we look at this URL, our image is now a public image. There you go, that's it. All that is left for us to do now is simply to call upon the NanoBanana service to start processing this specific image. Now, since it has been successfully placed here on a publicly accessible URL, that is a very good sign, so let us continue forward. Here we are going to carefully pin the information, and then we are going to add what is commonly referred to as an edit file. So for this particular one, I just really want to set up my detailed prompt. So that is essentially all there is to it here at this stage. Simply, I'm going to create a variable that we'll call contact sheet prompt. And now I'm just going to copy and paste my prompt. So I put it in the documentation. This is the one, so that's what I'm going to use. In fact, this is what will be sent to NanoBanana to simply ask it to generate the images for us. So at this point, of course, I've actually modified a few details, mainly emphasizing the format. But this is already a point that's mentioned here in the cheetah prompting contact article. And of course, we're going to try to apply this plan so that it can simply generate for us. So images in this format. So this is actually the plan. And so now we're going to go ahead and use it a bit here. So now let's run it. And all that's left to do now is actually send this information to NanoBanana. So there you go. We save it here, we pin it, we hit save, and now we actually need NanoBanana. So I'm calling on AtlasCloud. I'll put the link in the description. So the documentation here will simply help me use the banana. So I click here on NanoBanana, and you'll see there are several models. Now, the most interesting model, I think it's this one, the Ultra, this one here. It can go up to 8 kilometers. So the higher the quality you choose, the more interesting it gets, but of course it's also more expensive. So that's for sure. But when you use the Ultra, it's very important, especially here. First photo, the one that contains the different parts, that's the one that will be executed afterwards. So when the resolution is good, when it's high, that's going to help us. In fact, it will give us a result of very, very high quality. I'm just going to stick with 4K, or if you really want something better, you can go with 8K. And now there will be an image. Of course, it's going to be a bit larger on the screen. Don't forget that the more you increase the capacity, the larger the source or the output will be. It will, of course, be a bit bigger. So here I would need to use the print function and paste the image. That's what we're actually going to do, simply by using the node system that will help me, in fact, to get in touch with NanoBanana and Atlas. So to use NanoBanana, you'll see that here you have API, because I click here and you'll actually find here some of the API codes that we'll need to use. So as a result, I can save a lot of time by clicking here on curl. So curl, I copy it here, and then I go there. We're actually going to create an HTTP request. And here I have import, I click on import, I paste that, and then I click import. The first thing to do is, in fact, I need to retrieve my key. So here to get the key, of course, I'm going to go to the console. And there you'll find happy key. So it's simple. I've created quite a few keys myself just for testing. So for the key, you just need to click here to copy it. And then you come here. And here, be careful, I'm just going to replace this variable. I'm going to leave berear. This one actually, this keyword, we need to keep it. And we even keep the space that comes after it. So as a result, I just paste it. So now I have the variable. And if I scroll down a bit here, so for it, what will it need? It will actually need the image. So here, that's the output. The resolution will be set to 4/4. You can reduce it if you want. And of course the ratio, meaning the images. How do you want the image output to be? And that's very, very important. So look here, if I go back actually to NanoBanana Ultra here, when I go in there, the output format, we agree, and here that's the ratio. So the ratio, that's what we're looking for. So if I go back to my system, we'd really like the image, especially here in the print, as we mentioned. We have a specific ratio that we've required, so we're going to look at 2:3. That means 2 rows and 3 columns, so somewhere it's this one. Actually, the specific ratio of 3 is what we need. So here, let's go back to this section instead, so set it to exactly 3, that's it. Also, please be very careful, since we're looking for a high quality image that's going to be in a wide landscape format, right? They don't have a vertical portrait format available here, which simply means it's horizontal. So maybe the specific format here in this setting. Actually, what we are looking at here is going to be a 3:2 format. So since it is a 3:2 layout, I'm now going back here to my HTTP request configuration. So this specific area is where I'm trying to work on my node setup with NanoBanana to ensure everything is correct. So here, first we're going to rename NanoBanana. I'm going to call it Ultra here. Therefore, and so I'm going to completely modify and update the information. So here we're going to erase all of this. And the object known as Messier 32.2. All right, so now actually we'll need to bring in the image. So the image I was looking here, if I want to use the image again, I would actually need the image. And this one actually, which just came from there. So here, so there. Actually, it would be good to give this image a name so that it's more meaningful, because otherwise the name doesn't make much sense here, so I always like to change the names of the nodes. So here, just a click here, we're going to give it a name and URL images. So here, I'm going to call it nano. So the image. We're going to retrieve it from there, so now I save. So now I'm going to run it a second time, and I will run this specific part as well. We always make sure to save our important information right here in this spot and over here as well. And now let's try to retrieve this specific URL. So I always prefer to do it this way. First, I get the full URL, then I carefully place it here. I enlarge it for better visibility, and now I try to actually copy all of this information here and also here. For the image, it actually says it's a single image, so I'm going to try to put it exactly like this to see how it looks. There we go, so let's run it and see what kind of result we actually get. Careful, here with the print as well, we'll need to replace the print. Same thing. I delete the print information here, I hold on, and there we go, I send my print here. There, normally we've put in all the information we'll need. Alright, let's take a look and see what it's going to give us. So let's go ahead and run it together. So here, it actually needs a class bias. There's a small error. Let's check that in our code. Ah yes, so here we actually need to put legumes, and here before and after. So there we go, we'll just do it manually. Actually add legumes here, so now we're going to be at Gulmina. And here as well. The same thing. Here for the main ones, one here and one here. Alright, let's run the script now and take a careful look at the results. So here too, as we can see, there is another significant problem with the image output. Let's check the specific error message then to see what happened. Actually here, I'll show you when I open this. If I look at my URL, the URL is displayed like this, so I'm actually going to open this exact access page. I scroll down here to the URL, look at this page, it actually gives me the image, but there's a lot of HTML, a lot of text written, so what I actually need is just this URL to look at the 1D. It was only added after the .org. This one in fact gives me this image, so the stack just needs the image. And the question is how to just format this and add the DH. I'm simply going to put a very simple regular expression here. I actually asked ChatGPT to write it for me. So this one, look, it transforms the image like this. Okay, let's execute it this time. Let's see if it will change. So here, still in fact, so still here. Ah yes, because here then, we're going to try to see how to do it this way. Then we'll do it again. So always. For it, there's a problem with the image, so we're going to try to see. So it was really necessary. Actually, I wanted to record this to show you a bit how we try to fix errors. So now, if I go back here, if I go there, so if I look at the image, yes, actually there's the bracket that opens and closes. Let's try to copy that to be sure. Actually, we followed the sending exactly as it is, so that's what it did. We're going to copy the same thing. Ah no, even before the vegetables. So there you go. And another one to close. Okay, let's test this again and see what happens. Let's run it. And now it works. So now it's already sent the information. What I need to check. I'm actually going to come here and go to request history. Normally, I should find that something has just been launched, so right now it's preparing. It didn't return any results, but still, a request was sent, so let's give it time to process that information. That's why here, we save we're going to store this information right here. Of course, when we finish the workflow and everything is properly created, we'll publish it and remove all the pins and leave this one. Just because when we run it, sometimes we need to restart the workflow or close and reopen it. So now what I'm going to do is add a wait time here to actually allow for the generation. Images. So here we'll set a wait. I'd say if I would put nano or banana right here, and at this point I'd just go ahead with the process. We will easily set the timer to exactly 3 minutes so that the final photo will be rendered in very high resolution. We run it now, so we'll let the program run for a while so that enough time passes. And then, immediately afterwards, I'll create the next part. Basically, what we have right here is a very simple and effective node that will allow me to actually download the entire image. So, what I will also do as well is carefully copy this specific result for you, so that you can simply and easily use it right here in your own project. So now we'll put it here. I will give it to you. Actually, this is the operational result that you can use. So we'll actually let their process finish the 3 minutes, and then afterwards we'll test to see the result, to see if we were actually able to create the photo, so we can know whether we'll use it or not. Alright, so now the 3 minutes have passed. We're going to check if the image has been downloaded or not. And indeed, the result is good. The status is completed. And now we can already look at the image. So we have 6 images, and later on we're actually going to create an animation with these 6 images here. So what do I need to do? It's simple. I'm just going to make a simple HTTP request. And here actually it's a get method. And in the URL I'm going to try to find the URL with the results. So it must be this one actually. Let's check, let's verify. To download, we'll also need to call the API, because it's still actually, so now it's about doing, so anyway, here in the documentation it explains to us how to retrieve it. For me, I'm going to retrieve the images here, and this time it's going to be in download mode. So that we can download properly, I'm going to go back here to my system. What I'm going to do is delete this and just duplicate this node. We're going to release the information. And here, in this specific part of our development process, we are simply going to initiate a standard HTTP GET method first to retrieve our data, and then we will proceed to formally call this particular function download image nano to ensure our naming remains consistent with the project requirements for this image handling task. So here I actually need to update the URL, and I'm going to set the URL. It actually needs the ID. You see this ID here, we're going to send it here so we can download. So here I'm going to copy and paste, and I'll set it to expression mode. This actually I'll put it in the documentation for you. That way you'll be able to read it properly. So here in the URL, that's it. And be careful, we're also going to add another parameter here that's very important. Is to set a content type name. There you go. And here set it to application/JSON. There you go. So after that we won't need to send anything at all in the body because it's a retrieval. And we're going to require a JSON format response. So let's check. Let's see if it manages to download the image. Indeed, that's the image. So now we're going to try to read it. But be careful here, the images are only available for 1 week. So you have 1 week to download the image. So here we have a choice. Either we can manually put it in our shared Google Sheets file, but ideally it is much better to think about the process of uploading it in order to properly save the high quality image for later use. So now I'm going to make an HTTP request. I'm going to convert this image into a binary image, which will help me later to process it. So here, for the URL, I'm going to use that as the information. It will retrieve this information since the output is this photo, and I'm going to request a response in binary format. So now I select response, and then I choose file. I can give it a name like data. Okay, let's run it. By the way, let's give it a name here. Download, we'll call it image. JPEG, there we go. So this image here is now in binary format. What I'm going to do with this image, always remember to pin it here so you don't lose anything. And the last step is very simple. I'm going to use Google Drive. All right, I'm going back to Google Drive and I'm going to do the upload now. We're going to send an image to our folder. I'm just retrieving my folder. Here I'm going to look for the folder name, video 3D. Let's see if it just picked it up. So we're simply going to send the image to the folder. It's just to save it. The operation is an update. So here, instead of update, we should actually put upload. Be careful. Upload. There you go. It's not the same thing. We're going to upload this image, which is data. That's it. The data is here with the same name. So here it's asking me, what name do you want to give to the image? So here, look, we can actually give it the same name as here. Or we can use the ID. Maybe it would be better to do that. In any case, here you are free to choose the name or to set a specific name. I can give it the ID as the name. That way it's unique. And there you go. So now I search with my folder in the file, and there it is. I found the information. So we don't need to add any other options. We just click execute. So now it's going to send the file to be saved in Google Drive, and that way we'll keep a full traceability of this file that was just generated. Because with this tool, the image doesn't go through. You'll see there's a note here. It says 7 days. So it's a good idea to leave a copy here. As a final step in this specific process, we are going to proceed by assigning a clear and descriptive name to this action, which is upload file to Google Drive within the designated folder structure. And right here in this section, actually, I can easily integrate a new Google Sheets spreadsheet. And then once that is done, we will just need to securely store and save all of this important information for later use. So now I'm going to click update. So here we're going to update with the new image. There you go, right over here. So we are going to follow the exact same procedure in this specific step. We'll first try to locate the specific file that we need to work with. After that is complete, we'll carefully search for the corresponding image file within the directory. Of course, at this point the system prompt will appear and ask me to clarify which file you want to capture. Remember, at the beginning we retrieved all the information here. So here I tell it, the one with the NanoBanana that has this image. So let's look for it by the NanoBanana image. There we go. And I tell it that it has to be exactly this one. In this process, you'll first change the status. We'll set another status here because it's actually important. Once we create it, we need to change the status. We can call it status, for example. We can just put dawn. There you go. And now moving on to the next step, let's take a look at the new image. So it will be this specific one right here, the image contact sheet that we have been working on. Here, in this designated space, I'll carefully put the new image that was just generated by the system a moment ago. There you go. So actually what I can do, which I think could be very interesting for our comparison, is keep both of these images side by side. Yes, I can definitely keep both images here so we can see the differences clearly. After all, it all really depends on what kind of work I want to do afterwards. Either I keep it like Google Drive, or I can actually work on it later on. In any case, here I'm free to choose how I want to add the image, or even how many images I want to put here. So now I'm going to put this image here. There we go. So we'll take the content view, this one. We'll place this element right over here. And also we'll take a moment to consider the possibility of creating a new column on the right side. Here, I'm going to give it the specific name of Image Atlas. The mighty Titan Atlas, holding up the heavens. That way, we'll also keep an image here. So now when I add a new row, I click here. There you go, so it will find the Atlas image for me. So here we'll put the original image that we downloaded there. Here, it's this image here. We're also going to save it here. That way, we'll have more information, even if it disappears after a week. So we have to process everything else before it goes away. There you go. So I run it, and it automatically fills in the row. There, it changed to down, and now I actually have, there you go, all of the information that has been, well, successfully processed. Maybe here we shouldn't call it down. Maybe we'll call it something else. So what we'll do is go back here, because down will be when the video is finally created. But for now, we'll call it, let's say, in progress for the time being. Contact down. All right, let's run it. Let's update it. Maybe, we'll see. There, that's better. So now I actually have this first part of the workflow that has been properly set up. Good, so now what we're going to do is create a second step. But in this second step, we're going to work on this image here. And my goal is to create videos. So the first video, I go from this image to this image. Second video, from this image to this image. Third video, from here to there. And I can add a fourth one if I want. So that's optional. But it's absolutely essential to have 1, 2, 3, and 4 separate videos. And then these 4 individual videos will be carefully combined together later on to make a complete final video. So, how can I possibly create an entire detailed scenario from just a single image in high quality 4K resolution? First, I'm going to start by creating my initial trigger mechanism. The trigger here will be a trigger schedule, so it's scheduled. What that means is that for it, we're going to check every single day and see if I have an image ready to be worked on, processed, or handled in some way or not. So here, I'm going to set a trigger, but this time we're going to look for schedule. So the schedule triggers, it's this one. We can program it. I'll just leave it like that, actually. It runs once every day at midnight. And so if I know that, for example, I've created several videos per day, I can set it to run every hour. So here I'm free to change it to every day, every hour, every minute. But I know that I can only create 1 video per day, so here I'm telling it to run just once. Otherwise, I can, if I want, continue my process directly here, without having to use a scheduler. Here, it really depends on your needs. So it's possible to chain everything together if I want to. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is check in my Google Sheets, as always, to see if I have an image ready to be processed. So here we're going to retrieve a file from our system. And we're going to look for the status. Remember, this one was set to the contact down status, so I'm going to check if I have an image with that status. So let's go here. We're always searching, so I point to my file. There you go, image sheet. I tell it, listen, I want you to look for the status, and here I'm going to copy the status we set together, contact down. In order to properly read the data from the table, you must look specifically for the column labeled as status and check if the corresponding value is set to tag lone. If the system successfully identifies a match for these specific criteria, it will proceed to return the very first row that it encounters in the dataset. Because if there are 2, it leaves that for later. Alright, let's run it. I'm going to ask it to search for me. There you go, it actually found this Atlas image. That's the image I'm interested in. So now I'm going to put this here. I'll continue. So now what am I going to do? Here I can actually, if you want, quickly create an edit file. Here I'm just going to define, it's really just to define the image URL. I'm going to output it into a separate URL. It's really just to have a clear and simple workflow. Here I define it in this variable. I give it this information. It's just so that it's readable later on, that's all. So this node is actually optional. So I just added that. When I run it, it gives me a variable called image URL, which I'll use everywhere later on. Okay, so let's put that. Very good. So what do I need to do? Well, I'd actually like to retrieve this image first. So if I want to get it and continue working with it, or I can just keep it. Anyway, I'm free to do what I want with it later. But what's really interesting is that we're going to use a node that will help me edit the image because we need to crop it. All right, let's download it on n8n. So here I just add an HTTP request, look. And in this HTTP request, we're simply going to download the image onto n8n. We're going to put it on the n8n server here so it's easier to use. Method, get the URL. I'm just going to use this URL and be careful here in the response. I'm going to tell it to respond with a file and call it data. There you go. It's actually going to write the file here for me. So here's a JSON file ready to be processed. And this is where the work really begins. So here we're going to add a pin. So what I'm going to do next is edit this image here to break it down into 6 images. So you know that here the images actually have the same proportions. So I'm just going to use a simple mathematical equation to get 6 output images. All right, let's go. Now we're going to use a node that's specific to n8n. It's simply called edit image. This is the one. It really lets you crop, resize, add borders, even write on the images. And with this one, we're just going to fetch the information. So get informations will retrieve all the details, the length, the width, you see. So this is a node that's actually capable of defining everything related to size, dimensions, all the information, that's it. So I have everything I need here. So here it's already at 11 megabits per second. So I think on an 8N, you can't go over 20 megabits per second. That's why you need to be careful. If you set it to 8K, sometimes you need to check what the maximum dimension allowed by the API is, so it does not cause any issues here. So you needed to check that as well. Very good. So here I simply retrieve the image. So once we've retrieved the image, what do we need to do? This is where it gets interesting. We're going to break the image down into 6 images. So look, I'm going to take this and put it here. And now I'm going to do the same thing and call edit image. And this time, actually, we're going to crop, which is an operation that lets you cut the image, you see, is this one. And we're going to start by taking the top left part. So look, when I crop it, I take this as the first image. This is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, fifth, sixth. So you have to see it in this order. So for this image, I'll already put crop top left. What am I going to do? So I need to give it the width and the height, you see? And that's very important. The width and the height, what I'm going to do, look, for the width is basically the whole width divided by 3. Because this part here, look, let's use this to draw it better, okay? This part here, the width equals the entire width divided by 3. That's normal. And the height equals the total height divided by 2. It's simple. So that's why here, for the width, we're going to set it to expression. And the width here is simply a mathematical expression that I'll put here. There you go, we're going to tell it. Take the full size and divide it by 3. By the way, we'll put that in the documentation. So we will carefully put it right here. There you go, it is all set now. To keep things simple as we move forward with this tutorial, we will just go ahead and call this specific part of the process cropping the image. And here I'll put code. There you go, that's the first one. So I'm coming back. The position will stay at XY in the same spot because it's the image at the top. Now the height will be the total height divided by 2. So there will probably be a bit of black showing because there's black here actually. I can see it, but it doesn't cause any problem because there will be a bit of black everywhere, so it really doesn't matter in the video. Now I switch to expression mode and I'll put that in, I run it, and there you go. It just gave it to me, as you can see. So it works. It's really a very, very simple thing. So we're also going to pin it to save this information. So what I'm going to do is continue along this whole line and then we'll duplicate it. To have a total of 6 different copies of them. That way it will be significantly easier and more efficient to get all the necessary work completed. So once we have successfully copied the image, I personally always think it is a very good practice to consider saving the image to Google Drive, as I always prefer to keep a backup copy. In any case, it is not really mandatory to do this, but maybe saving this image could be a highly beneficial and recommended strategy to follow. The act of saving this material might be a very interesting prospect, perhaps even putting it on a publicly accessible web link. In any case, it is entirely up to our own team to decide and determine the exact manner in which we are going to execute it. Maybe we can also put it directly as an online link. If you want, we can also make it available as an online link. Like we did here. look here actually, when we took the image, we used this to put it online. By the way, we can copy it. Look, we can copy this. We can come here, test and configure. We're going to paste it. We're going to paste it like this. And there we go. What I'm going to do here, of course, we'll remove the pin because it's going to be a new image. We're going to open it here. So data, I'm actually checking right now the file. So we're going to run it to see if the message will show up or not. I see that the image has been sent properly. We can check it. So right now it's loading. Let's see here if we have the image. So I don't see the image. It's telling me as if the address isn't correct. So let's check. And there it is. It actually gives us the image. It takes a little bit of extra time to process because there is actually a noticeable delay for the sending mechanism to complete. Very good. So now it has finally reached a state of success. So what I am going to do right now is just give it a specific name here in this field. So here we are going to perform the open action and give it a unique name like upload, and we will call it, let us say, upload top left. There we go. It is finished. That is looking very good indeed. So let us go ahead and save our progress now. Now, please be extremely careful with this next step. What I am going to do is take all of this specific information right here and carefully copy it over to this new location, just like this, repeating the process exactly 6 times in total. And there we go. It is finished. Why do we need to copy them 6 times? Because we'll actually need 6 images if we want 1, 2, 3, 4. Or we could stop at 4. After all, it really just depends on the needs. To keep things simple, we'll do 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So I think that's going to be enough to make 1 sequence, 2 sequences, 3 sequences. 3 sequences, I think that's fine, really fine. All right, we'll stop at 3 sequences. So now I'm going to connect. I am currently in the process of connecting. So right here, well, of course, ideally we really wouldn't want to do it this way. Well, there you go. It seems to be working now. So this one, we're going to update it. So this is going to be top center. So we move this to the middle. So this one is top center. There you go. And here, actually, the information is going to be the same for the height and width. The only thing that changes is the X1 position, which means for this one, we'll set it to expression and the position will actually move a little bit. So this, now we're going to move it just a little bit further so that it actually starts exactly from here. So there you go. I really wanted it to start from that specific point, so we gave it this particular width, which is this one right here. There you go. By defining this width, we told it to start from this exact point here. The rest of the configuration stays perfectly correct. So I will save all of this information as a pin so it doesn't get lost, and then I can finally run this one. Let's see the result. This will be the second image. Let's check. Well, yes, there you go. The image is correct. So you get the idea. So now here, regarding the upload, this one we're just going to call. But I don't think we're going to change anything inside. We'll check. Here, it's going to be a top center upload. There you go. Okay, so let's check the information. The information will stay the same. Okay, let's run it. Indeed, so it's going to stay the same. It's actually the correct information that's being passed around. There you go. For this specific one right here, we are going to go ahead and pin it. Now, looking here actually, it is located in the top right corner. It is the very last one on the far right side. So here it's top right. And then, looking up in the top right corner, of course, we are definitely going to change the value of the x here. Because for this specific x variable, actually, it is exactly twice the amount of this original value. It's actually twice this specific distance. It's 1, 2. So it's going to be positioned right over here. Actually, it's exactly twice the amount. So here we'll put in a custom expression to handle that. There you go. It's twice the total width now. The rest of the settings stay completely correct. We can even go ahead and run this node to verify, and we will do the exact same thing here. So we'll call it the top right corner. There you go. Everything is set up perfectly. Now we can run it. It just saved the new image successfully. Here, we'll set it to pin mode. We'll set it to pin mode here as well. Okay, and finally, the very last one that we're going to choose. But we can go even further. So this one actually, in reality, it's not the top here. It's going to be the bottom left. There you go. And in the bottom left corner, there's a small change in the Y position. You get it. Here, we don't change anything else. It's just the specific position where it needs to be placed. This one, of course, is a position that will go down a bit here. So that's why we're going to move down here to start from this exact point. So I run it now. There you go. The new image is generated. We can see it clearly. There you go. It's the right image. And there you go. We're almost done with this part. So here we can set it to pin mode. And of course, don't forget to save this image right here. There you go. I run it now, and as you can see, it is always the same consistent thing. There you go. It has just saved this specific image. I click right here to save it. So now that we have just finished working on that part, all that is left for us to do is move on to the very next step, which is to use Keenly, that powerful tool, so that I can actually turn these generated images into high quality videos. So here, what we actually need to do is send these two images in order to create our video. Now, quickly, I'm creating a node called merge. Basically, what this one does is it tries to wait until both inputs have been executed. That's basically it. So now we can run it. But for it to run, we have to do it like this. A single input isn't enough. You need to provide two inputs like this. I'll do it, and since I removed some pins here, I'm going to execute it. There you go. It's actually going to wait for both pieces of information, even if it only outputs a single item. But I can retrieve both pieces of information that are here, so that's what's really important now. So now I need to always go back to our API here. But now I'm going to return to the home page. And you'll see that here I'm actually going to look for one. I'll type all if you want. Calling video mode, that's the one. It's going to give me several hugging models, but there's one in particular that interests me. And Hug 2.1, the one that has first and last for judicial access. Here, just a bit, or I'll do a Ctrl+F. I'll just type the word Lost World first. So, start, that's the one, there you go. Start, or rather start and frame. So put start here. Are there others that do this? No, there's only one. Actually, it's this one, the start, that's the one I'm interested in. I check, there you go, that's the one. 2.1 start and end. So I'm going to click on try this one. Actually, it takes an input image and an output image. That's what's really interesting. So we're simply going to, there you go. So we're definitely on the right model, this one. So what I'm actually going to do with this model is go to the app as usual and get these URLs so I can install it on n8n. That's what we're going to see right now. So here we're simply going to add an HTTP request, and you'll see that inside our HTTP request we'll just need to import the code actually. So if I come here, I click on these URLs, I copy it, there, do we have it? So it's a code specifically made so that I can import it. Here I paste it. You'll see that all I need to do is add my API. So right away I copy my API, I come here, and there we go. We add a space and paste the API. And here, the information isn't copied into JSON, it's simply variables to set up here. So the first thing to do is the print. I need to copy the print, so I have a simple print here. Really a very basic print that I'm going to paste here. I'll show you the print. This is where we're going to ask it, actually, to follow before, well, the image, to do it slowly. And afterwards, you'll see that I'll need to add the information to the image. So here, the system is already suggesting it to me. End image, the final image, and the starting image, and the duration. For the duration, I can set it to 10. If you come here, you'll see that you'll have up to 10 seconds. If you want the video to last 10, well, here, that's basically it. The parameters for configuration. You have an end image and a starting image, and you simply have a print linked to the negative print. But actually, you won't need it. So here, we won't need it. So we'll just limit ourselves to, we can already see the first image here. That's the starting image. So we're going to assign it the value. The value of the starting image will be the first image here, top left, that's the one. So here I assigned it the starting image. And for the end image, careful, I need to go up here, the end image. That will be top center. I send these two pieces of information and run it to see if it works or not, or if it will return an error message. So here we've actually asked it to execute this information. And so you can see these images here, along with the prompt in question. So we haven't specified a particular output, but still we could have also added an output, for example, in JSON format. It would also be much more interesting to enforce that. To ask it to return in JSON format, we'll already see the result. By the way, here, if I click there and go into the requests, so here in the request, it has just sent a request. So there is already a request in progress here. We're going to click here, save, and put good. Then we're going to put stop actually, and put pin here, save to use the page. Because sometimes if it gets lost, the session isn't this one. We refresh, there you go, and we come back here. So as a result, it sent the information status code. That means success. It went through fine, okay. And so the information has now been successfully transmitted. Consequently, we needed to incorporate a specific period of wait time, because this wait time will allow me, so right here, I'm going to call it, and so right here, we will put it into place. The process of automatic link generation. So there you have it. And we're going to adopt a tone of expectation. So here we can even put up to 5 minutes. It all depends on the specific circumstances actually. Well, 5 seconds is certainly not too slow at all. I honestly think he can do it in a minimum of about 3 minutes. But let's just say it will take 4 minutes here for this particular case. Please wait for the video. There you go, and we execute it to wait, in fact, for the time to pass, so that we can see a little bit of the result. If it works very well, which I will do next, I will do all the other sequences. We're going to duplicate this so that obviously we can merge them later. So here I have an error message, so I'm going to show you how we can read the error message. So here it shows me exactly what it received in the input. But if you remember here, when we have the image, we said we needed to add DL before. So that's actually why, there you go, it's normal. Actually, it didn't manage to get the image properly. So now let's remove the pin here and look here in front. You actually see the work a second time, and we're going to go here. There you go, it's in the image URL. There you go, do the formatting. Remember the formatting we did here. So when we sent the image to NanoBanana, we worked on a function to make sure everything was handled correctly and the process was complete. There you go, which actually replaced it here. So that's the same thing we're going to do now. So what we are going to do now is copy this specific element right here. Then we will head back over to that previous section, open this file up, and as you can see, this is my personal image, so just take a good look at it. Now that we added a function, what I'm going to do is go to replace. You see, that is it. We are going to put it in place. This is the URL, so we will take it up to the upload variable. Copy that and put it here. There you go, we remove this, of course, we won't need it anymore. So now, there you go, with the link. So here we've succeeded, so we're going to do the same thing here. See, it functions perfectly as intended. And we will also successfully generate the corresponding image file too. For this next one, we are doing the exact same procedure. So for this one, we simply copy it, and then we are all set. That you always had to read the error message and try to understand what's working and what's not in order to figure it out. That's how it is actually programming with n8n. You have to be very patient and not panic. When you get an error message, you can also use ChatGPT to help you. But here, we didn't need ChatGPT. It's actually clear, the answer. So I think here we're going to run it a second time. So now we've just sent it, we save. We can also launch the wait. So now it should normally, if I use the page, we go to request history. And there's a second one that just started. So now we're waiting for the execution of the wait to see if the second one here was successful. If it succeeds, that's good. We'll copy all of that into the rest. If not, we'll try to resolve the situation. The important thing, of course, is to always take a quick look, even if you only do it once. But afterwards, once their workflow is operational, we won't check as much, because we know we've entered the information correctly. So now we'll give it a little time for the video creation to finish successfully. And there you go, the image has just been created. So that's great. By the way, we can see it, so now let's take a look together at how the video turned out. We're going to play it back. On play. Very, very good indeed. There you go. So that was absolutely great. From the very start all the way to the finish. So, what I am simply going to do now, right here, is I think it hasn't quite finished executing yet, though it really should be done already. Come on, let's go ahead and save these two files right here. We're going to save them as pins. Okay, so what I'm going to do normally, generally, is that once we've created these images, these videos, it's one step to view them, but it would also be very interesting to copy and paste them like this. And now, in fact, we're going to paste. Here is the information in this way. I'm going to open a pin. There we go. And I'm going to paste here. So now we've just created 3 scenarios. I think that's enough. With 4 images, we've created 3 scenarios, but after that we can add more. So here, it's the same thing. We can already run this. So this one actually, so what I'm going to do is just click save. Careful, I'm going to restart the workflow like this, because sometimes it gives you this kind of blockage. So it's better this way. There we go. All right. For this specific time, we are going to run this one right now. And I am currently doing a very quick check. There we go. Here it is specifically about these 2 distinct images. So we are going to make absolutely sure that we have the correct images ready. First, let's look at this one, the one located at the top center. It's going to be the first one this time, so we're going to cut this. It'll be the first, there we go, and then the second one. Actually, it is going to be the top right option. That is specifically this one right here. So that is going to be the second one in the sequence. Please be very careful as well. So again, regarding the specific formatting, you really had to ensure you do the formatting exactly as we saw earlier in the demonstration. Alright, so now I'm going to cut this. I wouldn't put it with event, the function is wrong. There we go, so now it's done properly, and I think we can run it. It's still the same thing. We'll go ahead and send this particular one out, and at the same time I'll carefully leave it right here in this position like this. We'll just securely pin this item into its place, and that will be everything we need to do for now. Now I can already run this one without any issues at all. And right here you will find that the exact same logic applies to this part as well. Here actually, so here, for the IND is this one. It's going to take this and that. Yes, that's normal. Actually, it won't recognize it. That's completely normal. So as a result, we'll increase the size. So here we'll actually have images. The top right, that one will be the hand, and the bottom left. No, that's the beginning. There you go, that's the start. So I actually take the image, there you go. If it's here, that's actually where it comes into play. Top right, that's the start, and that's the end. And here, we're at the end, I think. So as a result, we're going to copy this information. First we erase this part, and then this part as well, and then we place it right over here. I'll go ahead and paste it now, which looks very good. So we have just successfully finished setting up the component called the hand. Now we need to begin to set up the next one, which is the on. The first one we will work with will be this one right here. The top right. There you go, so top right. See, you just need a bit of logic. It's not very complicated. It's not very difficult. You just had to think carefully and find the logic. Now be careful, you need to remove the space here. So, a quick check. Top right is here, bottom left. I think it's top here. I think so, yes, we can run this one. So here, what I did is I sent the execution of 2 sequences. So I'll let it continue to run, and as a matter of fact, I can even potentially run this node here and then run the other one. So this one, we can run it. And I wait, and then I'll run others. But actually, in reality, it all runs at the same time because I'm going to do a merge that executes the first line, second line, third line. So as a result, when I go back to my system here, if I refresh, I should see 2 new rows. And indeed, they're being created. We'll just wait for the result. So now, here we have it. The generation of the 3 videos has been successfully completed. In fact, we can see them here. 1, 2, 3. So what needs to be done is very simple. I'm going to do a merge here to actually group these 3 inputs together. So here, I would first select Combine by Position and then set it to 3. So as a result, in the system, we use the 3 inputs. So once they're there, I'm simply going to use a #TP request, and this time we're just going to combine the 3 images. We're going to merge it and view it. You'll see, so we're going to use a very powerful tool. I've included it here in our API, in our documentation. If it exists on the full website, it's an API that can merge videos or more. And it really costs almost nothing at all. So really, it's something inexpensive. And above all, it's very fast. So how do you use this API? It's simple. By the way, in the documentation, I've included the link, and in the link, here you'll find all the information about this API, which is well described. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. First, it's a post method, and here, in fact, we're going to use this URL, so we'll paste the URL here. Very good. By the way, I'll put the URL here in the documentation for you if you want it. So now we'll drop it in code mode. So here's the URL to use with the post method. And of course, so then as a result, we're going to put it here. So the method, this request is certainly identified as a post. And this, so this is our URL. Now, for authentication, we're not going to put anything. We'll select send header. So it's actually in the header where we'll send the information. So here, actually for authorization, we'll set authorization, and we also need our API on our system. So here we'll enter API. It's the API from the FL website, because on FL as well, we have access to our API. There you go. So here, you come here and click on ADD API. So you'll simply create your API. Once we have successfully integrated this specific API into our workflow, we will simply need to add another parameter to the request configuration here. Specifically, the parameter we are going to include will be the content type header, and for the value right here, we will specify it as application/JSON to ensure the server processes the data correctly. There you go. So we've just entered the information. Of course, I can certainly make sure to include all of this relevant information directly in the description section right here, so that you will have the proper authorization you need. And then obviously the next step is for you to carefully enter your unique security key into the field. And so the exact same principle applies for the content type in this specific section. It is going to have the specific type of application, the JSON. So it is quite straightforward and easy to manage. So you just need to follow this information. There you go. Now we've been able to configure our node. Now for the body, it's simple. Look, in the body, we're going to try to... You actually see the images, or rather the videos that we want to use. So we're going to use a JSON here and there. In the JSON, we're simply going to give them the 7. This is an expression. So here we'll have the videos that we're going to send. In our case, we have 3 videos. Remember, we just got 3 videos. So there's the URL. Try to check that. It was absolutely necessary to download the URLs because here we waited for the creation, but the download wasn't done. That's not a problem. We're going to come here to download them. So the downloading process. We do it exactly as we did here, like here in download. So we're going to copy that. We'll paste that here. So now, there you go. Consequently, as a direct result of these actions, this specific file represents a complete video download, occurring first and foremost within the Berling Duo's designated water area. So it's going to be a GET request. We're always going to send the ID, always the same process. All right, let's check. So first remove the pin. Let's check if it works. There, that's the video. Very good. So now, if we look closely, it should give us, actually, the output is this one. I'm going to put a table here. So is this really the video or not? So let's try to open it. Yes, absolutely, indeed, it's the video we are looking at. So that is exactly what we need. So okay, so we're going to duplicate it and see if we can, but then, of course, we need to check because I don't see the videos extension. I don't know if it's going to be accepted without any issues or not, but still, we'll check it. So here, this is the second one. So I have the second video here. And again, we're going to duplicate it again. So first, let's pin this one. That is looking very good indeed. We will go ahead and run through this specific one once more. Pin it into place. And then after that, we will run this other part and pin it as well. All right. So if we successfully retrieve every single piece of the information, let us see now if they are actually properly and securely connected together here. So here we'll need to retrieve the different pieces of information. So I should definitely have all 3 of those specific files located within my downloads folder right now. So I will certainly be needing that for the next step. We'll put them down here and then we'll need this. Additionally, we will also definitely need to include the second video clip as well. And now we'll go ahead to the next line. We'll look for the very last video in the sequence. That's the third one. We'll put it right here. All right. So we take the first one. We see the copy clearly. And we see the spot is right here. We are going to do the same thing for the second element right here. Once we identify the copy that we need, we will place it into this position. Same thing for the third one. And for the last video, this one, we'll paste it. Very good. So we'll remove the last comma here because we're going to delete everything else. There you go. So you shouldn't leave any space at the end. All that's left to do here then. By the way, we'll copy this. We'll run it. So we've just sent it. And it's telling me, well, here it's about who. The key. I think I deleted that key. We'll quickly create our test key. So I come here. And we see that it says key. Just to test, create the key. This is my key. There you go. I've retrieved it. There's no need for you to copy it because I'll do it after the workflow anyway. So here we go. I run it. I think this time it should work. Copy this to put it in the documentation. Alright, let's go back right now to see if it is actually running or not. By the way, we can also come over here, or rather, looking in my documentation, come here, then go to the request section. Yeah. By the way, it just finished, so now the video is ready. It's 15 seconds long. Actually, I can see the result if I want to. There's a little problem. Actually, it formatted the format. It merged, it formatted the format. Careful, according to landscape. 16:9. But my video actually doesn't have that resolution. So I don't know if we don't provide that information. Will it keep the resolution or not? Let's try to see how this goes. Because I actually don't want it to change at all. Actually, let's just wait and see if it works out exactly as we hope it will. In fact, if we don't specify, or if it will just take the default. So let's refresh. It is definitely working, by the way. Let us come over here to see what is happening. The default resolution. You see, that's it actually. That's what we need to do. We have to specify a resolution for which the system should work without any issues regarding the resolution. It's very important to specify the size, since it's a one-to-one format. We should have checked here. By the way, we can search by resolution. I'm going to copy the word resolution. I'm going to come here and search for the resolution. Image size, so here the resolution. There you go. It is right there by the image. So maybe that is it. Yes, that is the one. Actually, the default resolutions it suggests, you see, they're nice, you see. And here we can also customize it. We can customize the image. We can have an exact image that's possible. So in order to successfully do it, what I'm going to do right now is actually carefully check the final result to ensure everything is correct. And we can even give it an exact resolution because we actually know, since the image in the preview is divided by 6, we can know exactly actually. So there you go. If we don't set it, I think here, if we don't set it, it takes the default, which is what we want. So there's no need to set it. There you go. Very well. So in that case, we won't include the information. Here we have the video, we save it and pin it. And so now we have the image ready. Don't forget, of course, to always set a wait time here. Like, let's give it a maximum, let's say, for example, 1 full minute, which I think really makes a lot of sense in this context. I would set 1 minute here, because it's very fast. Actually, creating the image and combining it with the video is very quick. We'll set it to 1 minute, and then we simply think about downloading the video. This is very, very important, because after 1 minute, actually here, if I look, it gives me, in fact, the final video, this URL. So here, there's no need to download it because this URL, if I look at it, is the final video. So I can directly save it to my Google Sheets. And so here, what I'm going to do is simply record all of this information directly into our Google Sheets spreadsheet. So right here in this specific cell, that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, we are actually going to perform an update to our existing file, ensuring we are always working within the same one to keep everything organized. And of course, we're going to look for it just like we did before. At the beginning, when we retrieved the file, we took the file that Contact Down gave us, which returned all this information to me. We can work with the Atlas image. The Atlas image will be the reference. So here, I'm going to tell it, I want you to look for the Atlas image. And it has to match the same image we retrieved at the beginning. That's it. And I want, so if it gives that yes here, the word first, here we're going to change it to first. And actually the first function. By doing it that way, we effectively remove the extra space right here. Be very careful with this step. So now we can see that it retrieves the information correctly. Consequently, the current status is simply shown as down in the system. This essentially means that we can use the term video down, which is much more explicit and clear for our purposes. And everything else, actually we won't need it, so we can delete all that. There you go, delete all the information, we'll stay focused on the information. And here, this is the final video. So the final video, quite simply, we're going to put the video we just retrieved here. So on full, actually, the video can stay for a very long time. So we don't need to put it on Google Drive, but if you want to put it on Google Drive, that's possible. So it's up to you to choose. So this is my final video that goes here. From the URL, I can run it. And there you go. So if I go here, I'll find the video. Filali has just been added, just as it should be. So there you have it. We've just finished the recording here. Now, what do we have left to do? Of course, I'd really like to send this video I just created to social media, so that would be very interesting. So now let's go ahead and publish it, and we'll try to see how we can easily publish it. In fact, posting a video on social media is very simple with Blutato. Well, once we've created the video and saved it here, it will be very interesting to publish our video. To publish it, it's simple. I'll click and look for an extension or a node called Blutato. It's a verified node on n8n. I click here, and the first thing I do is click on install. When I install it, it's simply a node that will be installed. In fact, you can check here in the configuration, in the settings. You'll find it. There's the node community that will simply display it. There you go. Blutato has just been installed on your server. And so what I'm going to do now, once it's installed, is simply ask it to perform an action. And that action is to upload the media, meaning I'm going to send the media to the Blutato server so it can publish them on social networks. So the image, the video, it's right here. This is the one actually. So I'm simply going to take this URL and click on run. Now, it's going to upload the video to Blutato. And for those who don't know Blutato, let me show you. It's a website that lets you publish on all social networks in a way that's, let's say, very simple and above all optimized for SEO. So you just need to create a Blutato account and you can connect all your social networks. Really, they support all social networks. If you have multiple pages, YouTube, you can connect them all. Same thing for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn. And then once you've connected Blutato, Blutato also gives you an API. There you go, you just copy it here and you will create the instance there. You paste your API here and that's it. It will work automatically without any problem. Now, to publish, you click here, you look for Blutato, and that's what's really great about Blutato. When you click on Create Post, you simply select the platform, because where do you want to publish? For example, here, I'll tell it, I'm going to publish on YouTube. There you go, as soon as I click, it will detect my page. Actually, for YouTube, I would put some text here, for example, I'll just put a test like this. the URL, so automatically it will be this URL here, which is the Blue Taito URL and everything, which of course needs to be put here. Video title. I'm going to call it test, okay? I would say I'm going to set it, for example, to private, just to test. And I'm not going to notify users actually, so this option, I disable it. That's all there is to it. So let's try to test it. I click on run. The client tells me it has been sent. If I go to block everything, if I go to the public, the post scale, I'll find it right there. The post has just been placed here. In fact, I can even view it. And there you go, here's the video. It has been published successfully. So everything is fine, I have my video as expected. The system shows that the video was published successfully. What's very interesting about Blue Taito as a tool, I can export, for example, this, I can hold this, I can export it like this, I can publish it, the same video, I can put it on Twitter, for example. I just need to choose Twitter, for example, and select my account. And there you go, I can add the text, I can put the video here and publish it, and that's really what makes the strength of Blue Taito. It's a really powerful tool that allows me to do this. So I can publish everywhere, and now our workflow is ready to go, ready to work. Of course, you can configure it according to your needs, depending on exactly what you want, because everyone, in fact, there you go, everyone has specific needs, but you've understood the basics and you've seen the key nodes needed to make this whole system work. Here's a tip, actually, to help us improve the videos a little bit. So we go to this website. Unfortunately, there's no app, you can connect it, but still, it's a task I can do manually, so that's fine. If I take one of my videos, I open it, and then I start the processing. And so, as a result, it's going to create a sort of acceleration effect. So here, we're going to tell it to speed up, for example, up to second 90. I apply it, and above all, I click OK. Class A is a website that will actually speed up the camera footage. So it's going to slightly shorten the frames. So in total, we'll only have 8 seconds instead of 15, but look at the result. So there you go. So we'll have a much nicer result with the camera acceleration. And so that's also a little improvement we can make to enhance the quality.